Hi everyone, I'm Lucy Rios Mena. Today I'm going to be presenting our response paper number 2 for the class WLC 1883,000 and with Dr. Carmen Herman. Um, so, um, Well, for this paper, we had to write a response paper based on chapters from the book Visualizing Multilingual Lives, More Than Words by editors Paula Calaja and Sylvia Melo Pfeiffer. In the specific chapters that I will be presenting about, uh, the thing the things this were discussed were multilingualism as a subjective and lived experience, how that looks, and they're gonna explore that through some studies made. Also, we're gonna learn about the benefits of using visual methodologies, specifically to study multilingualism and linguistics, but also the benefits for the students. And we're going to learn about different case studies that use visual data. Okay, so chapter 5, I'm sorry, chapter 5 is called From the Migration Experience to its Visual Narration in International Mobility. It was written by Muriel Molinier, a French professor who designed a workshop, a drawing workshop, and she conducted it with students learning French in a university in France. And that's how the data was gathered throughout this workshop, and that's also how she analyzed it. And what the main ask was for the students who had already been in a study abroad experience for a while to draw their mobility pathways. In like as a summary, in this workshop and in this study, we could see that visual narratives enhance understanding of mobility and language learning journeys. Again, not only for the researcher, in this case Molinier, but also for the students, because it helps them evaluate and like reflect on their experiences. Two of the major findings was that she encountered where that the university plays a big role in the language learning process of these students. Um, a lot of them expressed it through their drawings, but also the way she conducted the research. You could see that how the university had a big role. Another finding in terms of the students is that throughout visual narratives, they can reflect and negotiate values and perceptions they have about their identity, about their mobility, about their study abroad experience. These are two examples of drawings that the students did. She divided the different drawings that came out of the workshop. She divided them in different subgroups, depending on like how that's the students saw like their pathway. And these are two examples of those subgroups. So this first one are figures of social symbolic ascension. So like this is a pyramid, and like he's saying like how his journey started and where he is at now and learning French. And it's pretty much she is, I'm sorry, pretty much well having a place in the world. So that's like the symbolic ascension. And then some others drew like some more like abstract drawings, and like the way the researcher analyzed and explored these drawings was that these were only like unexplored paths. Like they were looking at their pathway as something that wasn't conclusive yet, but some stuff, like in this case, some made up flags that represent different things, like for example, the fact that he's learning French, are basically asking like what are their place in the world, and that's how they see their pathway. So we see that there is two different reasonings why students drew the way they drew their drawings. And then the other chapter that I analyzed was chapter 10, Study Abroad in Pictures, Photographs as Data in Life Story Research. And this was written, and the research was conducted by Tay Umino and Phil Benson. So the overall study, what they did was analyze a lot of photographs taken by two different students that were studying Japanese in Japan. Well, for they were first just studying the language, and then they moved on to a university in Japan. So yeah, these photographs were taken throughout the years of them studying abroad, and the study basically is analyzing how their L2 identity developed throughout the years, and how we can see it throughout the pictures they would take, like doing different activities. So the main findings of this study was that the participation in L2 second language communities of practice influences the way these students create and develop their identity, but also it either contributes or it doesn't to their language acquisition. So participation with communities that speak the local language is key. So these are two of the examples. So there were two students for this case study. The first one was Iwan, and the second one was Lala. Iwan, their experiences were quite different, but the main difference, and that's how we know how their language acquisition process is that Iwan was very involved with communities and people from that spoke the language, that spoke Japanese, like local communities. But instead, Lala was, because there was a lot, she's Chinese, and there were a lot of international students from China. She kind of stayed throughout the years with her own same group, and that's how we can see that they're first of all, Iwan is very tied to the Japanese identity, and he's very well adapted. On the other hand, Lala, she only sees value in her community of Chinese people, and she didn't acquire the Japanese language that much. She only recently realized that she wanted to learn it, and she needed to go and meet more people that spoke the language because she got a job opportunity. So yeah, analyzing these two studies, I could identify that, okay, both studies explore multilingualism, how multilingualism and study abroad experiences and the learning a language process shape the students' identities, and also how their relationship is with mobility and language. Some strengths of these two studies is that the study in chapter 5 with the drawings in the workshop allows personal reflections and collaborative interpretation. So this is more of like an internal process. And chapter 10 with photo elicitation complements interview narratives. So the study probably wouldn't have been the same if they didn't have the pictures complementing the interviews that the researcher was having with the individuals. Both studies have limitations, and I believe it's the same limitations, and it is the role of the researcher. Because in both studies, we can see that the way they approach the gatherings, the ways they approach the data, and the way they gather the data and analyze the same data might be biased, not only that might be biased, but also the way they conduct, like, let's say the workshop or the interviews might like hinder a little bit of the answers of the answers, drawings, and visual material of the individuals being a part of the study. Comparative analysis I could do from like both studies, because both studies treated the subject of study abroad. However, they have a lot of things in common, but like the main difference here is that the study in France is a more introspective view. It's talking about future goals, how you see yourself from now, like after having your experience of studying abroad. But in the other hand, the study in Japan was more focused on external factors like the community that they were a part of, and also how that affected their past experiences. However, they both will analyze study abroad journeys, identify formation and different objectives. Oh, no, they also explore identity formation while studying abroad, but they do have different objectives and findings. The study in France is focusing on, well, future goals, but the study in Japan is focusing on like how the journey was before. And then they both come to the realization that how important it is to take account of lived experiences, and how language learning is nonlinear in its nature. So like everybody has a different process to learning the language, to identifying with the language and its community. So yeah, it's not a linear process, and that's what we can see from all the visual data recollected in both studies. Well, reflective conclusion, visual methodologies, one, provide a holistic view of multilingualism, because it's not only about what we say, it's also about what we see, how we see the world, how we express it through like any visual resource. Visual methodologies in language lectures can enhance reflection and individualized learning. And they can also bridge, this is a very important part, they can, for the academia, they can bridge the gap between like actual language experiences and students' journeys, and well, academic points of views, academic methodologies, academic theories, and yeah. So yes, again, to finish, the use of visual methodologies enhances language learning and contributes to a deeper study of linguistics and multilingualism. Let me know if you guys have any questions. And these were my references. This one is for the chapter up about the study in France, the study in Japan, I'm sorry. This is the reference for the book, and this is the reference for the study in France. Thank you so much.